Challenges in improving agricultural products. Introduction. We require different kinds of foods. They include various kinds of seeds like wheat, rice, dal, different types of leaves like spinach, methi, and many other things. In addition, non-vegetarians eat meat, fish, eggs, etc. While discussing food chains, a family consisting of 4 members requires 50 grams of grains per month or 600 kg per year. The area of land required for the same is around 1.4 square kilometers. The members of the family raises, food requirement also raises accordingly. The requirement cannot be met, it leads to food crisis. The rate of food production raises proportionately to population growth. Explanation. Table 1. Rate of growth of population and food grain production. Decade. Population growth. Food grain production. Ratio FP by PG. 1961 to 1971. 2.4. 2.83. 1.18. 1971 to 1981. 2.23. 1.8. 0.80. 1981 to 1991. 2.16. 3.13. 1.45. 1991 to 2001. 1.95. 1.1. 0.56. 2001 to 2011. 1.65. 1.03. 0.62. Increasing food production in proportion to compensate the needs of raising population is a big challenge for our country. Apart from human beings, other living creatures also need food to survive. Many of these animals have been domesticated and live with us. So, we need to provide them fodder, grain, etc. In this chapter, we shall discuss methods are used to increase the production for the crops we grow for food. There is one thing that needs to be stressed when we talk about raising production. Example, suppose we plant a crop of wheat. The plants grow nice and healthy, but they do not produce any grain. The production of a crop does not rise because of any one factor alone only. When there is a proper combination of several factors, the production can rise. Some of these factors include the kind of seeds planted, the properties of the soil, the availability and proper application of irrigation and fertilizers, the weather, controlling insect attacks, the growth of weeds, and so on. Table 2. Method, production, grain. Time of planting: a month after the onset of rains, 3400. Immediately after the onset of rains, 5830. Grain, 2430. Density of planting: plants per hectare 39,600, 4,100. Plants per hectare 19,800, 5,130, 1,030. Weeding: once, 4,040, twice, 5,020, 1,160. Nutrient application: without phosphorus, 4,570, 56 kg of phosphorus, 4,660. Without nitrogen, 4,320, 78 kg of nitrogen, 4,900, 90, 580. The table shows us the grains achieved in production by using different methods. Example: planting the seed at the correct time resulted in the production gain of 5,830 minus 3,400 equals to 2,430 kg per hectare. Calculate the exact gain from each method mentioned in the table and note the result in the table. Some of the factors that affect the production of various crops. The various factors that affect the production of crop in more detail. How to increase the food production? The cultivated land is very limited. If we make use of plenty of land for cultivation, some forest may be destroyed. So, we need to think of another solution. Observe the following solutions. Increasing the area of cultivated land, increasing production in the existing land, developing high-yielding varieties, alternating crops, mixed crops, cultivating short-term crops like rabi. The long-term and short-term crops are kharif and rabi crops. Short-term varieties produce grains more than long-term varieties. Alternating of crops preserve the soil fertility. Mixed crop system helps the farmers to produce variety of crops as well as increase production. To gain high yield, 3 types of methods are being used. Improving high-yielding varieties, using high-yield management methods, crop production management, crop protection management, improving high-yielding varieties. Observe the size and color of the maize in your kitchen. Some seeds are small with yellow color and some are large with white color. The white-colored large ones are hybrid variety. They give high yielding. An experiment was conducted to find out how irrigation affected the production of a crop. In the experiment, crops grown in 2 fields. One field was irrigated while the other wasn't. The same amount of nutrients like nitrogen was applied to both the fields. the amount of nitrogen was increased by the same quantity for successive crops in both the irrigated and unirrigated fields. What does a plant do with water? The plant combines water and carbon dioxide with the help of sunlight to produce carbohydrates. Starch is one such carbohydrate. Different types of sugar and cellulose are also carbohydrates. A chemical analysis will show that 100 grams of water react with 260 grams of carbon dioxide to form 180 grams of carbohydrate. But the plant does not use all the water it absorbs through its roots to produce carbohydrates. Actually, most of this water evaporates into the air. The relationship between water and crop yields. You may have wondered what difference it would make if water is scarce when only 0.1% is used to produce carbohydrate. Let us investigate the matter a little more in depth. How much water evaporates from plants in different seasons? The months in which the most water evaporates from plants. Most of the water released by plants evaporate from the leaves. The leaves have tiny microscopic holes called stomata. Water evaporates through these stomata. More water evaporates when the weather is hot. In such a situation, the stomata begin to close. The amount of water that evaporates from the leaves, nutrition in plants that plants absorb carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide also enters the leaves through the stomata. Plants cannot absorb nutrients directly from soil. Only the nutrient that dissolves in water is absorbed by the roots of the plant. Transportation of substance through plasma membrane and plant cell. How xylem and phylum are useful in transportation? Paddy require more quantity of water. Example, cultivation of paddy, wheat, and sugarcane are suitable places have rich water resource. If we cultivate such crops under wells and bore wells, most of the farmers of our state cultivate crops like paddy, sugarcane irrespective of proper availability of water. Only because of supporting price and marketing facility. So, farmers invest more on irrigation of water, electricity bills, pesticides and fertilizers. Agriculture officers advise to cultivate dry land crops in less water areas, and also to practice different water management practices. Make a list of crops which require less amount of water. Drip irrigation is a good practice in agriculture to prevent water wastage. In drip irrigation, water is supplied through small pipes. These pipes have small holes through which water passes drop by drop. Activity 2. Plant nutrients. We need different kinds of nutritious food. Plants also require different kinds of nutrients. A plant absorbs carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil and produces carbohydrates with the help of sunlight. Plants also absorb different kinds of mineral salts from the soil. In addition to water, among these are the salts that plants require in larger quantities. Example: plants need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium salts in large quantities. These are called micronutrients. Some nutrients are necessary for plants in small quantities. These are called micronutrients. Example: iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, chlorine, etc. These salts are obtained from the soil. When we grow a crop, the plants absorb some salts from the soil. The amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium salts absorbed from the soil by different crops. Table 3. Absorption of salts by different crops. Crop: yield per hectare, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Rice: 2240, 34, 22, 67. Wheat: 1568, 56, 22, 67. Millet: 1792, 56, 15, 146. Corn: 2016, 36, 20, 39. Sugarcane: 67,200, 90, 17, 202. Groundnut: 1904, 78, 22, 45. Every time any of these crops sown in a field absorb these amounts of nutrients. Soil nutrients. Nutrients present in the soil are consumed by plants and are replenished or returned to the soil in many different ways. In nature, the continuous process of death and decay add nutrients to the soil, and the process is too slow to be commercially useful. Rotating crops, adding organic manure or chemical fertilizers, etc. are man-made processes. Crop rotation. Usually, farmers do not grow only one crop in a field. Different crops are grown in different seasons. It has been seen that cereal crops take lot of nutrients from the soil. Legumes are different. While they do take nutrients from the soil, they also provide some nutrients to it. Growing leguminous crops result in an increase in the quantity of nitrogenous salts in the soil. Thus, to grow a leguminous crop between cereal crops is beneficial either by alternating cropping system or by mixed cropping. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are the important nutrients. Table 4. Nutrient uses. Nitrogen. New leaves, flowers arise fast. Potassium. Resistance towards pests. Increases the quality of smell, color and taste of fruits. Phosphorus. Penetrates roots deep into the soil to absorb nutrients quickly. To avoid nutrient deficiency in the soil, farmers cultivate alternate crops. A farmer cultivated sugarcane in his land for the last 5 years. Another farmer cultivated sugarcane in the first year and soya bean in the second year and sugarcane in third year. Crop rotation is the process in which one crop is followed by another crop on an agricultural field. Some best combinations for crop rotation are given below. After cultivation of paddy, black gram or groundnut has to be grown, followed by paddy again for cycle. After cultivation of tobacco, mirchi has to be grown for the cycle to go on. After cultivation of red gram, maize or paddy has to be grown for the cycle to go on. What is the benefit of crop rotation? When cereals are cultivated, more nutrients are utilized. If ligaments are grown in the soil, less nutrients are utilized. Not only this, they synthesize some nutrients into the soil. Cultivating mixed crops. If more than one crop is cultivated in the same field, then it's called mixed crop. Because of mixed crop cultivation, the soil becomes fertile. The nutrients are used by one crop will be regained by cultivating another crop. Which crops can be cultivated as mixed crops? Soya grown along with pea grown along with green gram, corn grown along with black gram, groundnut grown along with sunflower, maize grown along with red gram, sorghum grown along with pea, cotton grown along with groundnut. Generally, pulses and cereals are grown as mixed crops. Short-term crops are grown in long-term crop fields. In the fruit-growing fields like lemon, pomegranate, papaya are cultivated as mixed crops.